Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. The markets are powering higher yet again today, making a new all-time high. We have a lot of comments today out from Trump in regards to Powell and lowering rates and potential trade deals. And it sounds very positive. It actually sounds like we could have a trade deal with Europe over this weekend. And that is what is really fueling stocks to move higher. Now, what about the big risk that I've talked about? This risk that the war in Ukraine does not end by Trump's deadline, and Trump imposes 100% tariffs on countries that purchase Russian oil. Well, the Kremlin says today it's basically unrealistic to expect a comprehensive agreement to end this war within 30 days. But it sounds like we're moving in the right direction. That is, in my view, currently the biggest risk to this market. And, you know, we kind of heard some comments today from Trump that don't sound as escalatory. That could be partially why markets are moving higher today as well. We did get some mixed economic data, but largely positive. So we'll go over that as well in this video. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are new here, hit that like button as well as subscribe to the channel. We keep you informed with what's going on in markets each and every single day. If you are not new here and you would like to get in on the ground floor with us, link down below in the description of this video for the trading community. We are going out finding undiscovered stocks before Wall Street does. Okay, these are undiscovered AI stocks, energy names, generally small cap companies, robotics, okay, biopharma. Getting in at the ground floor, it really paves the way for those exponential returns. I've talked about it before on this channel, but we invested in Applied Digital at $3. Today, it's $10. We invested in Nebius at $20. Today, it's $55. We invested in Novartis Semiconductor in the $2-3 range. Today, it's over $9. We invested in HIMS between $17 and $20. Today, it's $55. We invested in IONQ, the quantum computing company. For anyone else, generally speaking, in the $7 range. Today, it's $45. Okay, nothing has really changed with these companies since I bought them the first time. The big difference is now everyone knows about them. Okay, we're doing that with similar stocks today. One stock in which I think is literally a 50x opportunity. Literally a 50x opportunity. It's crazy. Like, I'm shocked. It's actually shocking these opportunities exist. Okay, check it out. Link down below in the description of this video if you would like to. But on to today's episode. Now, here in the news today, Sanctuary Wealth says expect the S&P to reach 7,000 by year end. I have been saying this as long as I can remember during the even crash event back in April when the S&P was briefly in the 400s, I was saying, I think we're going to hit, 700 or 7,000 on the SPX by the end of this year. Now, you've been grinding higher for a while and you only need a return of about 10% from here. And I do think we have a pretty perfect setup to get there as long as Trump does not, enact these 100% tariffs on China, India, other countries because of the war in Ukraine. If Trump were to actually enact those tariffs, you're at least going to get a correction. But I don't think Trump wants to destroy the economy to cause irreversible harm. And that makes me optimistic that we're going to have a strong end of this year. Although August, September seasonality is kind of dicey. Keep that in mind. The U.S. is preparing new legal grounds for Trump's Brazil tariff threat. And cracks are widening in Japan as U.S. interpretation of the trade tariff deal. EU officials and diplomats say a European framework trade deal with the US could happen this weekend. Trump says Australia is set to take US beef for the first time, a very big market. He says, I hope our great farmers are happy. UK's Prime Minister Starmer will not meet Trump until Monday, contrary to the remarks from the US president as he boarded Marine One. Stifel says they see a 12% drop for the S&P 500 in the second half of 2025. Trump says he would use tariff money for rebates to Americans. Trump says the EU has a pretty good chance of making a deal. Trump says we will send close to 200 tariff letters. Trump says he may impose unilateral tariff rate on Canada. Trump says, I haven't had a lot of luck with Canada. I may impose a unilateral tariff rate on Canada. There's not a lot of negotiating, and I am not focused on a deal with Canada. Trump says most of the deals are letters instructing tariff rates. Some letters will say 10%, 15% tariff rates, which is seen as good these days. Trump says that most of the trade deals are finished right now. Trump on a UK trade deal says there's not a lot of wiggle room on steel and aluminum. Trump says, I had a good meeting with Powell on interest rates. Trump says the EU may have to buy down their tariff. Trump says France's Macron on Palestinians doesn't carry weight. Trump on Russia says we're looking at secondary sanctions. We may have to. Trump says that China and Japan are dominated because of weak currencies. Trump says a lower dollar makes the tariffs worth more. Trump said, I had so many different fights with China's President Xi. And Trump says, I have the right to take over DC. Trump says when you have a strong dollar, you can't sell anything. And Trump says that Japan wants to have a weak currency. Trump says Powell told me economy is doing well and that he thinks Powell will lower interest rates. And Trump says we are nearing a final trade deal with China. And Trump, about possible clemency for Maxwell, says it's an ongoing investigation. Trump says he's mulling rebate checks for low-income Americans. Now, if this were to happen, then I would get a little bit more concerned about inflationary pressures. Trump says that Powell is a very good man. A big change of tone from what we've seen recently. Trump says we have the confines of a deal with China. And Trump says we'll have most deals done by August 1st, if not all of them. Trump on Fed Powell says he got the impression yesterday from Powell that he might be ready to lower rates. Trump says 50-50 chance of making a deal with the EU. Also in the news today, Tesla is behind pace on Elon Musk's goal of producing 5,000 Optimus robots this year, according to the information. So far, the number of Optimus robots Tesla has made is in the hundreds. Ott says we'll be watching the next Fed meeting very closely. Now, apparently, Powell has told multiple associates and allies that there's no chance he will bow to President Donald Trump's calls for him to resign, vowing to withstand several more months of the president's unprecedented multi-pronged assault over Powell's refusal to lower interest rates. U.S. preliminary June durable goods orders fall 9.3% month over month. The estimate was negative 10.8%. Durable goods excluding transportation rise 0.2%. The estimate was positive 0.1%. So that was actually much better than expected. But what I want to see here is durable goods excluding defense. That came in at negative 9.4%. The estimate was negative 6%. So that was actually not a super great number. It was kind of a mixed bag in terms of the actual data that we got this morning. And the Federal Reserve says they honored Trump's visit yesterday. And the Fed says we are grateful for the president's encouragement to complete important renovation project. Eric Trump says Ethereum is undervalued. Eric Trump signaled support for claims that Ethereum is undervalued, reposting a crypto analysis view that Ethereum should be above 8,000 based on global liquidity trends. Trump simply commented, I agree. China's Xi says China's economy continues to improve steadily. Kremlin says obviously unlikely that a complex peace process can be completed in 30 days, suggesting again they are not going to meet Trump's deadline, which kind of puts Trump in a weird spot. Does he give Russia more time, or does he try to stay, steadfast in additional tariffs on other countries. I don't think he's going to. Thus, this should be a kick the can down the road kind of thing and actually allow markets to continue to improve and get stronger. So let me know your thoughts on all of this down below in the comment section. Oh, by the way, this trading community portfolio is up 80% year to date. Before a little minor sell-off we had, it was up almost 95% year to date. So that is the actual performance of this portfolio, with the goal to grow this from $82,206 currently to $1 million or more by around mid-2027, so about 2 years from now. With that said, to wrap up this video, the AI Investor Sentiment Survey shows bullish investors at 36.8%, neutral investors at 29.2%, and bearish investors at 34%. Okay, bearish investors fell last week. Bullish investors fell last week. The rise was all in neutral investors, which is surprising. CNN's Fear and Greed Index today coming in at 74, which is out of extreme greed, back to the high end of greed. Market momentum is greed, stock price strength, extreme greed, stock price breadth, extreme greed, put and call options, extreme greed. Market volatility is neutral, safe haven demand, extreme greed, and junk bond demand currently in extreme greed as well. The percent of stocks trading above their 50-day moving average coming in here today at 69.75%. Again, on the high side, but kind of in a normal range for a bull market. And considering stocks continue to hit new all-time highs on the SPY, you're not even close to being what I would call overextended by any stretch of the imagination. So hit that like button as well as subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.